Good morning, I'm Kenneth Moten.
And I'm Janae Norman. Here are the top 5 things to know this Friday. Number 1, the latest school shooting in America.
An emotional vigil last night paid tribute to the 2 teenagers killed in the high school shooting in Santa Clarita, California, north of Los Angeles. Police say the suspect is in critical condition after trying to take his own life. His motive remains unclear.
Number 2, the impeachment drama in Washington.
Public hearings resumed this morning on Capitol Hill with testimony from the former U.S. ambassador to Ukraine. House Speaker Nancy Pelosl is now accusing President Trump of bribery.
Lawmakers will also hear privately from the official who says he overheard the president talking about investigating Joe Biden.
On to number 3, a nasty fight during the Thursday night football game between the Steelers and Browns.
With 8 seconds left, Cleveland's Myles Garrett ripped off the helmet of Pittsburgh's Mason Rudolph and hit him with it. That sparked a wild brawl, which included Garrett being kicked in the head.
Garrett later took responsibility and was criticized by his own quarterback.
I made a mistake, and I lost my cool, and I regret it. It's going to come back to hurt our team.
That's just endangering the other team. That's inexcusable. He knows that. I hope he does now. It's tough. We'll see.
I don't know what the rules are. I don't know, but I know it's Bush League. I know he's, total coward move on his part. I get. I mean, it's okay though. I'll take it. I'm not going to back down from any bully out there.
3 players were ejected, but the NFL is now expected to hand down suspensions. Some are demanding Myles Garrett be suspended for the rest of the season.
Number 4, Taylor Swift is launching a new battle with the owners of her music. She went on social media to say that her performance at the American Music Awards may now be in jeopardy.
The show is on the 24th, and she was planning to perform several of her hits. But she says the men who own her old recordings, Scooter Braun and Scott Boettcher, will only allow her to sing them if she agrees to certain conditions. They want to make sure she doesn't re-record her music.
She says they want her to be a good little girl and shut up.
And finally, number 5, Twinkies for breakfast. The new Twinkie cereal will hit grocery stores at the end of the month.
Reactions are mixed. One critic cited a report this week that found 98% of children consume too much added sugar every day.
Whose idea was this? Not.
Sign me up.
Good morning. Thank you for joining us. We start on a somber note with new details in the deadly school shooting in California. Police say it all unfolded in just 16 seconds.
The shooter wounded several classmates, killing 2 of them. Gunfire rang out as students were gathering outside Saugus High School north of Los Angeles.
And now we're learning about the off-duty first responders who were able to rush to the scene so quickly because they were already on campus. Overnight, dozens of people gathering to remember the victims of America's latest school shooting. Police in Santa Clarita say Thursday morning a high school student killed 2 classmates who were among a group gathering near the school's entrance before classes began. They say it was the shooter's 16th birthday.
I just yelled at my teacher and I said, "We got to lock the doors right now."
According to investigators, it took only 16 seconds for the teen to pull a gun out of his backpack, shoot several students, and then turn the gun on himself. Students and teachers inside rushing to place these chairs against the doors for security, just as they've practiced in lockdown drills so many times.
It was just a normal Thursday. We woke up in the morning, got ready. Our biggest problem was, about the dance on Saturday and, whether you forgot to do your homework or not. And then all of a sudden, it's life or death.
Moments after the shots rang out, the first responders on the scene were 3 off-duty law enforcement personnel. They had just dropped off their own children at the school. One arrived at the shooting scene in mere seconds.
He had just dropped off a family member at the school and was driving away from the school along the perimeter when he saw all the children running away from the sound of the gunfire, and he turned around and became the very first person on scene.
And then the familiar scene. Students walking single file out of school, their hands in the air. Anguished parents rushing to the school, some saying they had prepared for a day like this, even setting up an emergency meeting place. The 2 victims killed include a 16-year-old girl and a 14-year-old boy. 3 other students were wounded. The gunman, overnight listed in grave condition. Police searching the shooter's home and investigating a disturbing message on Instagram.
It says, "Saugus, have fun at school tomorrow."
The FBI is also investigating the shooter's background. Officials say there's no reason to believe he was acting on behalf of any group or ideology. The motive, still unclear. Officials say there's no indication of any link between the shooter and the victims, leaving the community struggling to find answers.
As parents, you go to work every day to provide for these kids, and the last thing you want to hear is they've taken a bullet. They're just kids trying to get an education.
And a music teacher is being called a hero for helping to save a 14-year-old who was shot in the hip and the shoulder. That teacher barricaded a classroom with a piano and treated the girl's wounds.
Well, news of the shootings in California broke while Senate Democrats were calling for action on gun control. Senator
Richard Blumenthal, you'll see here, was handed a note on the Senate floor about what was happening. He was supporting a universal background checks bill that's already been passed by the Senate.
Blumenthal announced the Santa Clarita shooting and said the loss of life is our responsibility.
How can we turn the other way? How can we refuse to see that shooting in real time, demanding our attention?
A motion to pass the House-supported universal background checks bill was blocked by Republican Senator Cindy Hyde-Smith. She said colleagues need time to debate it.
And the Walmart in El Paso, Texas, where 22 people died in a mass shooting in August, has reopened.
Walmart employees welcomed customers with cheers and applause on Thursday. A new banner is displayed on the store's front. It says El Paso Strong. The manager says most of the store's 400 employees are back on the job.
Well, turning now to Washington, and the impeachment hearings resuming this morning with testimony from the former U.S. ambassador to Ukraine, who was forced out of her job.
Marie Yovanovitch is heading to Capitol Hill after President Trump took direct aim at her earlier witnesses.
He told supporters in Louisiana last night that top diplomats who testified earlier this week are never Trumpers. It came hours after House Speaker Nancy Pelosi accused him of bribery.
ABC's Elizabeth Herr has the new details from Washington. Elizabeth, good morning.
Kenneth and Janae, good morning to you. Yes, today we'll hear from Marie Yovanovitch, who says she felt threatened by President Trump and was blindsided when she was removed from her post. This morning, the impeachment showdown resuming with former ambassador to Ukraine, Marie Yovanovitch, taking center stage. In an earlier closed-door deposition, Yovanovitch testified that she was warned by Ukrainian officials to watch her back, that President Trump's personal attorney, Rudy Giuliani, and his associates had plans, and that they were going to, do things, including to me. Yovanovitch says in an effort to save her job, she turned to the ambassador to the EU, Gordon Sondland, the president's point man on Ukraine. She told House investigators, and he said, you need to go big or go home. Tweet out there that you support the president. Yovanovitch refused. A few weeks later, she says she was told to get on the next plane home. This comes as Democrats continue to build their case against the president, with Speaker Pelosi now calling Trump's actions involving Ukraine bribery, an impeachable offense.
The bribe is to grant or withhold military assistance in return for a public statement of a fake investigation into the elections. That's bribery.
But President Trump maintains he did nothing wrong at a rally last night in Louisiana, blasting the first two witnesses, career diplomats who kicked off the public hearings on Wednesday.
Two never Trumpers, what exactly do you think you impeach him for? And they stood there and went like, what? But they're unraveling, and their sinister plans will fail.
Also testifying today, but in private, is David Holmes, a State Department staffer who claims he overheard President Trump on the phone with Sondland asking about the investigations. Kenneth and Janae.
All right, Elizabeth, we're there on Capitol Hill for another big day, and our live coverage of today's hearing begins streaming at 8:30 a.m. Eastern, right here on ABC News Live.
And President Trump is taking his fight to conceal his tax returns all the way to the Supreme Court.
The president's legal team filed a petition to be heard by the High Court in an effort to block New York's district attorney from obtaining 8 years of his tax records as they investigate hush money payments to a porn star and a Playboy model. House Democrats are also trying to get a hold of Trump's financial records. Lower courts have rejected their argument that he is immune from investigation while in office.
In other news, schools will be open again today in Roanoke, Virginia, despite an ongoing manhunt for a Marine wanted for murder.
22-year-old Michael Brown is accused of fatally shooting his mother's boyfriend. He hasn't been seen in for nearly a week. Authorities fanned out in Roanoke after receiving a call about a suspicious suspect. Their search came up empty. Police say Brown should be considered armed and dangerous.
The Texas high school student brutally beaten by her substitute teacher is now recovering from a brain injury. The 16-year-old says she's afraid to go back to school and isn't comfortable showing her face. She says she was laughing with her friends when the teacher used profanity and told them to shut up, and that's when the confrontation escalated.
And I turned around to my group of friends and said, well, you're not gonna make money talking to students like that. And that's when she got up in my face and said, what did you say? I said, I didn't say nothing. And she said, that's what I thought. And she started getting closer to my face, and I told her, get away from me. And she said, or what? What are you gonna do about it?
The teacher was fired and charged with assault.
New Jersey is demanding $649 million from Uber for failing to pay employment taxes. The state argues that the debt comes from Uber misclassifying workers as independent contractors and not employees. It's reportedly the first time a local government has demanded back payroll taxes from the ride-hailing company.
One of the doctors who voted to approve LASIK eye surgery now says it should be banned.
The procedure corrects vision by reshaping the eye's cornea. It was first approved by the FDA in 1996. An estimate says less than 1% of patients suffer serious complications from the surgery. But a member of the agency's advisory committee, which approved LASIK, says the real complication rate is up to 30%. He also claims at least 17 people have taken their lives after years of pain from LASIK.
Wow. Well, coming up, we're getting new details on the reboot of the Motorola RAZR, but that signature bending screen comes at a price. We'll tell you how much.
Plus, the story of a young pilot whose engine failed, how he survived the crash into icy water. After this. We are back now with the rescue of a teen pilot who crash-landed into a lake.
He was trapped in the plane's wreckage as it was sinking in icy water. Lucky for him, some quick-thinking kayakers were nearby. Soaring above Washington State in that open cockpit is Brett Easter. No stranger to flying, the 19-year-old recently bought this bright yellow ultralight plane and went for a practice run. That run would end like this, the aircraft and Easter down in a lake.
I was totally expecting not to wake up from it.
Shortly after takeoff, Easter says one of his propellers stopped moving.
At that point, you don't know where the airplane's going. I mean, there's houses everywhere here, and nobody else deserves to pay for my engine failure.
Easter deciding to ditch in the lake's icy waters. But when he tried to escape the cockpit, his jacket got tangled in the equipment. Easter says he kicked furiously for 10 minutes, trying to keep his head above water. Underwater and with the clock ticking, two kayakers came rushing to his rescue, paddling over to help Easter keep his head above water until help could arrive.
I just jumped in and was paddling as fast as I could, and I'm turning 60 this month, so it wasn't as easy as it used to be.
Easter escaped with minor injuries. According to the NTSB, deaths from small plane crashes are on the rise, with 393 in 2018 compared to 347 the year before. Still, the scare will not keep Easter grounded for long.
I'm definitely not done flying. I'm not going to keep me out of the sky. When the engine failure is not going to do it for me.
Easter grew up flying with his father, who is a private pilot. The NTSB is now investigating the cause of the crash just after releasing new data showing plane crash fatalities increased last year, and 97% of those deaths came from crashes involving small private planes.
Wow. All right, let's get a check of our notifications, starting with a little girl reading to some friends who just happen to be goats.
One goat, two goat, three goat.
In pajamas, in bed with her.
Yeah.
Island of the Blue Dolphins. I bet the goats love that.
That's the farm animals.
Very sweet. Sleep in bed.
Yeah. Better than stuffed animals.
That's right. Jeopardy James has gotten his revenge.
Last night's episode on the Tournament of Champions found James Holtzhauer in a rematch with Emma Boettcher, the Chicago librarian who ended his 32-game winning streak. Night one of the two-part finals found Holtzhauer with a $24,000 lead on Boettcher heading into Final Jeopardy. Both of them answered the final question correctly. Heading into tonight, Jeopardy James is up by just under $23,000. Whoever has the most money after tonight takes home $250,000.
Wow.
And a Texas family is in the middle of a Christmas decoration controversy.
Their homeowners association in San Antonio told them to take down their decorations because they were put up too soon. The family decorated its front yard November 1st with that inflatable snowman, reindeer, and a Santa helicopter. Mom and Dad are expecting their third child on Christmas Day, and they wanted to make sure their two older kids could enjoy the holiday.
I said take them down.
I say
Take 'em down.
HOA, back up a little bit.
Take them down.
That's our question of the day. Is the HOA right to tell this family when to set up their Christmas decorations?
Take them down.
Tell us what you think in the comments. Tweet us at ABC News Live.
Wait
Out
for the
yourself
least
as a
gobble
Grinch.
gobble. The turkey, the day after Thanksgiving, put them right on up.
All right, details are emerging about the new Motorola Razr.
The it feels like it makes this noise.
Yeah.
The Razr Reboot
nah.
has a 6.2-inch internal display, which bends in half. It has a 16-megapixel camera and also
sell
comes
that,
with night
sell
vision.
that.
The most noticeable element
vision.
is the price tag.
Yeah? What is it?
$1,500.
Say what?
The new Razr hits stores January 9th.
$1,500.
That's a lot of
to
money.
Slam that thing shut on somebody. That's when you mean it. Phone call over. The Harlem Globetrotters are celebrating another big win.
They've set 6 new world records on Guinness World Record Day, no less. The records include the most bounced basketballs while blindfolded in 1 minute at 63.
Child's play. And veteran Bull Bullard broke 2 records, the farthest under the leg basketball shot and the farthest behind the back basketball shot. All right. The team also now holds the record for the farthest kneeling basketball shot made backwards. Say that 10 times fast.
I love those Harlem Globetrotters. They're an
talented.
institution here in America
Uh-huh.
and around the globe.
Yeah.
Hey, we have another new world record. A real-life version of Iron Man has shattered a record he set just a few years ago.
Britain's Richard Browning actually calls himself Jetman. He invented a jet suit and in 2017 managed to fly at 32 miles per hour. But yesterday, he shattered that mark. His new and improved suit sped through the air at 85 miles per hour, 7 miles per hour faster than he went while training.
Shattering records, better than shattering all the bones in his body.
100%. That's good. All right, and from there we turn overseas to Italy, where officials have declared a state of emergency in flood-ravaged Venice.
The deadly flooding is the worst the city has seen in 50 years, and it's far from over. ABC's James Longman is there.
Venice's watery nightmare continues, the city bracing itself for more misery. The worst floods in half a century, causing millions of dollars of damage.
It's hard to see the businesses that are struggling and they're cleaning, and then the next day it just floods again.
A new attraction for tourists perhaps, but for local businesses it means ruin. So what can Venice do?
This is the Moses Barrier. It's at the mouth of the Venice Lagoon, and it's supposed to be a wall that rises up out of the water, blocking the sea, going from there all the way over there. But after years of delay, it still doesn't work.
Locals blame corruption and political apathy on the failed multi-billion-dollar project. The government promising to get it working. With hundreds of years of history at stake and the threat of rising sea levels looming large, Venice has rarely felt so vulnerable.
The state of emergency has released over $20 million of immediate relief and compensation, but with the rain coming down and continued high tides, that might be just a drop in the ocean. James Longman, ABC News in Venice.
The regional council office located on Venice's Grand Canal was flooded for the first time ever.
This happened Tuesday, and talk about timing. It happened just moments after council members rejected measures to tackle climate change. The city's mayor has blamed climate change for the historic flooding. The council was forced to move their meetings to another location for the rest of the week.
Wow. Well, coming up, some big campaign events for Democrats running for president. We'll tell you what to watch out for today.
Plus, the NFL star receiver pulling double duty as a dog dad for his social media influencer pup. After this.
Here's what to watch out for today. Another top diplomat heads to Capitol Hill as impeachment hearings resume. Former U.S. diplomat to Ukraine, Marie Yovanovitch, is expected to testify about a concerted effort to push her out. Live coverage of the hearing will start at 8:30 Eastern right here on ABC News Live.
Meanwhile, Democrats running for president are on the campaign trail. Senator Cory Booker is expected to file official paperwork to run the New Hampshire primary. And Senator Bernie Sanders is scheduled to be officially endorsed by the National Nurses Union and hold a rally in Fresno, California, out of the California Democratic Party Univision Presidential Forum tomorrow, where a number of candidates are expected to speak.
And the world's largest Starbucks opens today in Chicago. The Starbucks Reserve Roastery is billed as an immersive coffee experience spread across 5 floors and 35,000 square feet. Well, win or lose, Pittsburgh wide receiver Juju Smith-Schuster knows he is someone who loves him waiting at home.
He's a doting father to his 2-year-old, $6,000 French bulldog, Bougie. The Frenchie may be as popular as his dad. Bougie has more than 200,000 Instagram followers. Smith Schuster told ESPN there may be another dog in his future.
When are you going to get another dog? Is that in the future? Or?
Obviously, yeah. I mean, I think I want another Frenchie. And obviously with more space. I want a backyard with the fence where you're able to just run around and do their thing. So definitely want another dog.
Bougie doesn't only have human followers. He also has a girlfriend named Portia, and it seems like Juju's probably pretty bougie too.
Bad and bougie.
Except for letting that dog lick peanut butter off his face.
Well, that's true. Does he put Bougie in like a diamond-encrusted collar?
I think
that's bad and bougie.
A safe bet. Bad and bougie. That's it from us on this Friday.
Please stay tuned for our coverage of the second impeachment hearing of the week. That starts at 8:30 Eastern right here on ABC News Live.
Have a good weekend.